was recently asked by someone that I had just come out to what the hardest part about being trans was. Now, I am nearly 11 years on T. I am almost 10 years post-op in December, my chest. I've had my histo done. I'm on the road to getting lower surgery. And my life is much different than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago when I started T and I was new on T. It has different challenges. You know, obviously I pass, as much as I dislike that term. I navigate the world as male. So the challenges are different than when I was first starting and my appearance was really changing and I had to get my parents and other family and friends on board and professors and work and all that. And I'm past that point, so I thought maybe that could make a good topic because, you know, there are not many guys vlogging this far into transition, and I admit sometimes it's hard to find something to vlog about because you're just living your life after a certain point. But I also think it's important to keep vlogging, even if I don't make videos as often as I used to, because it's still important, I think, for younger trans men or any newer transitioning person to see that there's a life later and how you're living it and making it work for you. Because it can be tough, but it's also the best thing I've ever done for myself. So when this person asked, you know, she said, is it the physical stuff that's the hardest part? And affording the physical stuff is quite difficult. The financial stress is great, but I said, really the physical stuff really pales in comparison to the emotional, spiritual, and social changes and things I've had to deal with. The physical stuff is, I told her, was like second nature, at least to me. And this is my own experience. Every FTM, every trans person has their own experience, you know, unique way of navigating the world, and transition doesn't have the same for everyone. And not everyone feels the same about their transition. So for me, the physical stuff was not as hard. Like, injecting myself every week sucks, but it's not the worst. Getting top surgery, mine went pretty smoothly. My histo, after I finally got it, went pretty smoothly. Of course, I have not had lower surgery yet, which I know is much more intense than the other surgeries. So I know that's going to be more physically taxing. This is coming from my experience of not yet having lower surgery. So I told her the physical wasn't really the hardest part. You're just becoming who you are. Like, I look like who I always thought I would, just with a bigger beard. So the physical stuff is not as hard. It can be, the changes can be difficult when you're sleeping all the time and eating and, you know, your acne's breaking out and the moods and stuff, but it's just a part of becoming you, or at least it was a part of becoming me, and it wasn't so, that wasn't the most difficult thing to deal with. Socially was much harder. Coming out in college, coming out to friends, to family. Family was tough. Now that part of the social stuff is over and done with. But I told her now the social stuff is the hardest. And specifically dating. Because, you know, I'm past coming out, everyone knows me as male, it's not a big deal. But dating is hard for me. I haven't seriously dated anyone in about 5 years. I'm a long-term relationship kind of guy. I don't do micro relationships. I like to be alone. I'm a big introvert. And I also know by being in relationships, you know, several of them, what I want, what I don't want, what I need to work on, and part of this, well, most of it is due to my own dysphoria, and working through that, unpacking a lot of things, and that's what's tough for me. And it's interesting because dating, it's not that people wouldn't date me or aren't interested in a trans person, because I had to really work through that, where I felt just, I had all this internalized transphobia where I felt like I was just unworthy or just not good enough or gross just because I'm trans. And that was about 2014. That's before I moved back to San Diego. Well, moved back to California to San Diego. That was really hard to get over, and it took a lot of work and just, yeah, spiritual work to get to that place of acceptance, to be like, no, people can find me attractive and valid and beautiful in my body and all this. Even if I don't necessarily like this part of my body, that doesn't mean other people can't and won't find me attractive. And just because I'm trans doesn't mean I'll never find a partner. All this stuff, this reel of self-hate I always, you know, used to have going through my head. So that's turned off. But for me, it's personally really hard to have the plumbing I have and to be sexual with someone, because I don't want to use prosthetic because I don't feel it. My cock is, you know, I got good growth, but it's not what it would be if I was born male, and it's painful for me, but I've gotten to a point where I just accept this is where I am. I've jumped into the dating pool finally, and it's going better than I thought. Being sexual is still really hard. I still have so much work to do around that, but I'm allowing myself to be loved and to feel loved and to love my body, and to sometimes have to put this part in a black box and be like everything else. And I'm still working to accepting. Well, not accept. I've accepted what I have. Just that accepting the limitations, but what I feel are limitations. I mean, in terms of sex and whatnot. But basically, dating, not having, a penis that I was born with is really quite devastating to my life. And even with lower surgery, I know, I don't want to say the word I'm going to be disappointed, but it just wouldn't be what I would have if I were, assigned male at birth. So that's a lot of accepting to do too. And honestly, surgery scares me because I know I'm not going to be satisfied with the size of the meta, but I know, well, I'm scared to death of phallo with everything I've seen, and so I don't know. So there's a lot to process around that. But basically, at this stage in the game, my being trans doesn't really affect my life other than dating. So that's just kind of the thorn in my side, and I think a lot of people have trouble with this, and then a lot of people don't. Like, I see so many trans people in relationships, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? But no, it's nothing I'm doing wrong. I feel like you have to work on yourself and get to a place where you're good before you can really have a healthy relationship, and that's what I want, is a healthy relationship. That's the hardest part for me. Spiritually, I love being trans. I feel like it informs me as an artist, as a human being. I would want to navigate the world no other way. But yeah, I just, not having a penis that, a standard penis, a biological penis, I don't know, the right, whatever PC term you want to use, it can be really hard, really isolating, but I don't let that stop me from living life. I still go surfing even if I can feel the packer against me and it kind of irritates me. I just do it, and that's the difference also between me now in transition and before. I used to just hole up and not live life, and part of that is organic mental depression, but you can't let it stop you. It's so hard to push yourself, but even just feeling that great dysphoria, I still have to push past that, so that's really where I'm at with kind of being this far into transition, and that's kind of the only challenging thing. I mean, things like going to the hospital can be weird, but I'm here in California now, so it's cool. But there's just a few things socially once in a while, but it's really nothing terrible. I feel like a dude now. I'm just a guy. I happen to be trans. I have to take testosterone every week, but it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, it is and it isn't. So yeah, almost 11 years into it, and dating is kind of my rough spot. And dating is what is hard for me. So that's where I am this far down the line. So I hope you all are well. I'm going to try to make some more videos. I always say that. I'm just super busy with work, with life. I moved recently. I'm in Oceanside, an awesome creative space. So, yeah. If you have any topics or any questions that you'd like me to talk about or video suggestions, please leave them. I'd be happy to consider them. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I hope everyone's doing well. Alright, take care, everyone. Peace. I turned 32 on July 31st, and I was really bad at taking footage, plus we were camping. I didn't have any signal in the mountains. So here's just a little snippet for my birthday. Alright, take care, everyone. Peace. Good morning. It is the 6th of August, 2016. I'm in Lake Emmett Campgrounds with Caleb and Carrie. Say hey.
Sam Squanch.
The Sam Squanch. Either way, this is our second weekend camping. It was my birthday last Sunday, so we came up, and then I unexpectedly stayed a week because they're awesome, and now we're camping again. So we're going to take you on an adventure with us today. I promise I'm going to bring my camera, right? Did I say that?
Yeah.
All right.
Pinky promise.
We're doing it. Pinky swear. All right. Hold up.
Yeah.